I want you to inspire the fellas right now, because you heard about the hashtags, man. 300,000. The ladies, they doing their girl show. They got movies about that. Why, as fellas, are we not?
This is Kabukicho in Tokyo, and you can see at nighttime with the plethora of colorful signs, it can be really difficult to locate a place. And so they have these places called annaijos, and you go there and basically for free, people will direct you to a club or a bar or snack, if you will, that you can go with your friends and have a good time. So here's a different picture, and you can see with so many signs, and some of these buildings have 7, 8, 9, 10 floors and multiple bars or snacks in the same building, it can be really difficult to find the places. And so a snack is essentially a place where you'll have, ladies that are hostesses that will pour drinks for you, and you'll pay an hourly rate. And so you'll see things like this, and I want to show you this particular bottle. If you can see it, it's half empty. This is what is called a keep. And a keep is basically when you pay for a full bottle at an elevated price, but because you pay for the bottle, you can go back to that restaurant and you can drink it, not necessarily free, but at a lower cost than buying drink per drink. And this is a unique custom to Japan nightlife. One of the reasons I wanted to explain the culture of the way Japanese men get down, to be honest with you, is that this is just part of their culture and it's just commonly accepted. And so it's really interesting to me when we have conversations like this one, why there's so much pushback on literally Black American men doing somewhat similar things.
But what I saw was people going over there. You see all online, all the videos of Passport Bros is like, it's all like videos like that one gentleman, like I told you in Vietnam, who's like, oh look, all the girls want me, but he came home single. The other one to go to Brazil, they're showing all of the women, basically showing off their bodies, showing off their butts and their breasts, and then saying, look at all these opportunities, look at all this stuff, but then they come back with nothing.
You can see that there's this kind of common narrative, at least for black men, American black men, that if you go over there, you have to prove to us that you're doing something that is above board, and you have to get our permission, and it has to be approved by us. And to be honest with you, that's a very unique concept to only African American men, because I can assure you, I am well aware of men from different nationalities who travel and they do other things, and they're unabashedly not ashamed about it. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm saying that many other nationalities, they get down. And it's nowhere near the kind of scrutiny that you see when you talk about Passport Bros. Technically speaking, I'm an expat, and I'm a 20-year expat in Japan. And even though I am that, I cape, if you will, I go to bat for the Passport Bros, and I don't see any real need to distinct myself from one or the other, because I think in the end, what's most important is that we have a lot of young Black men who are getting some perspective on not just culture, but manhood. And so I cape for it because I think it's good for Black men to have those kinds of experiences. And you're going to hear that mirrored here.
Talk to me, Kev.
I think, to be honest with you, where we come from, we're so closed-minded to what we see,
Now, that's a very good point. And I think that is something that is really new for a lot of Black men, because we haven't really considered the fact that there are 185 plus-ish countries on the planet, and the great majority of us never really get a chance to see them. And so it's hard for us to see how big the world is outside of where we come from.
We see the Miamis, we see the Atlantas, we see the LAs, we see the New York, and we less see of traveling to Africa, or traveling to London, or traveling to Europe, or even Rio and Brazil. And it's so important for us to actually get up and travel, because traveling just leaves you speechless. It's like that journey that leaves you speechless, and it actually turns you into a storyteller.
Now, that is a really good point. And I just tell a quick story for myself. I was here in this country, I think about 3 or 4 years, and I was in a gymnasium, and one of the kids walked up to me and said, "Hey, why don't you coach the team?" 11 years later, I had 11 years experience teaching youth basketball in a second language. Now, people are saying guys are going overseas and doing all this chasing women, but there are opportunities that simply aren't available until you find yourself in a new environment, and you just get a chance to create a new you.
So I think for me personally, it's very important for us to travel because it just opens your mindset to a whole different perspective of life. And it helps you with, moving forward in life. It helps you learn new things that, for me, I travel to Africa at least 3 times a year. I mean, that's my favorite place to go. But, I just love the culture. I love the food. I just love everything about traveling. I think it's definitely important for everybody to go out there and just go, just take that chance of that leap of faith,
Leap of faith. There it is. A lot of, especially for us black men, we're afraid of that initial leap because, let's be honest, we live a lot of our lives in fear. We're afraid of being pulled over by the police. If you're in a relationship, one phone call, you can end up in trouble. We have a kind of constant level of fear around us. And I could speak to that at length, but I'll just say that when I first got here, I had to decompress a lot of the anger and the kind of angst that I had inside of me. You can see that for black men who choose to go overseas, there's a special level of criticism which just doesn't really exist with other people, as you're going to hear on the screen, because let's be honest, it's more people traveling. As a matter of fact, I showed you what the red light district looks like. All of that was there before a single passport bro stepped off the airplane. And so to hear arguments like these make you just shake your head, really, because there's only one group of people that's being made against.
GB was saying that we are spreading promiscuity to other nations. We cannot complain when all women are 304s global. And that was the point that I was getting at, mostly with GB, was saying that, isn't it basically doing the same thing? You sleep with all the women in America, and then you go to another country and sleep with all the women there. So you're not changing anything, you're doing the same thing. No. Now,
this is Marty McFly, and I'm going to actually at him in this video because he's a legit, he calls himself a man who happens to have a passport or something like that. But what he does here is he dissects the argument, because you can tell he's extremely intelligent guy. He's not just a run-of-the-mill guy. He's a legit dude, and he's going to break that argument down to pieces.
No, it's a guy. Yeah, it's a guy. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay. Well, here's the problem.
MBD, can I don't mean to cut you off, but I have to make what she just said. This is what I'm talking about, right? On one hand, these guys are lame, fat losers that can never get a girl, right? On one hand, this is what you hear most of the women say, that what you say. And directly on the other hand, these are also the guys that get all the women that are exporting, sleeping with all the women in another country. This is why it's very important to make distinctions on who we are talking about. If you're talking about passport pookies, hey, anything goes. I'll give it up to you. You're absolutely right, because we have that. But what I'm talking about is the guys who travel who actually don't do that. So we have to make a distinction real time when we're talking about these things, because the way it comes off is you're grouping everybody who travels into this group of sex crazed idiots.
Now you can see that. Look at that comment there. Y'all turning every nation into a ghetto. Now that, again, this is only something that happens with American black men. You don't really see this anywhere else. You're going to go somewhere else and expand your horizons. How dare you? And you're going to turn the world into a ghetto, and you're going to spread promiscuity around the world. Guys are just going to expand their horizons just like any other person from any other country with any other passport. There's a culture in America specifically for black men that we're very much policed with how we move and how we are allowed to behave. And you're going to hear that spoken here from Marty.
See, the thing is, in America, we have a problem where we can't eat and chew gum at the same time. Walk and chew gum at the same time. I'm sorry. And to be honest with you, people monitor where black men put their penises. To be quite honest with you, because I'm going to give you an example so we understand what we're talking about right now. White guys, Europeans, Arabs, they've been doing this for decades. This is nothing new. So the fact that one kid who's 23 makes, and he is not even the person who made the name Passport Bros. He just tattooed it to his arm. So we actually have to know where the name came from to understand the origins. But what I'm saying, the point is, this has been going on since the beginning of time, before pre-World War II. And the fact that black men have basically expanded their options is creating this frenzy like the Joker. Like, people don't know how to handle it. Listen, guys are going to travel who have the money. What women like to say, what you've alluded to, is these guys are either socially awkward or sex hounds. That is not the case. You should know.
Never said that.
But you made it
When did I
seem
ever
like they're
mention-
exporting sex to a different country, and I made the distinction. There's two
That's
different
what we
types.
just said.
There's
We
two different
just
types.
said- We just said that.
Ma'am.
So you can get the idea. There's this, I don't want to say if it's projection or not, but if guys are going overseas legally and they're not getting locked into jails and they're coming back home unscathed as law-abiding citizens, there really should be a problem with it. And there's only really one group of men that that people seem to have a problem with, and it's black men. And it's very interesting that's the case, because that might actually be the reason why a lot of black men are now considering becoming passport bros. And just like I told you that I spent a decade coaching youth basketball, there are men going overseas doing many different things. And you can see Marty right here. This is what he does. This is his work. And the guys that are choosing to go overseas are going overseas for a variety of reasons. You can see that this is not what you're normally hearing about passport bros or guys that are going over to quote unquote trick. This is a man he is doing his profession. And just like many other passport bros or blue book gentlemen or men with passports or whatever label you want to put on it, you cannot classify all men that choose to get passports and go overseas in one classification. You wouldn't do it for any other group of people, otherwise you would be considered being discriminatory. And so when you're doing it for passport bros, you're doing the same thing. So just remember, a lot of guys are choosing to go overseas not because they're looking for chicks or they're running after chicks. Some guys are looking for wives. Some guys are looking for career opportunities. Some guys are looking for career opportunities and find wives. Some guys are looking for girlfriends and find wives. Some guys are looking for a wife and find nothing. They're looking for a wife and they might find the career that they've always wanted. Remember, grouping people together and making a judgment call on all people based on the actions of one or a few or some preconceived notions is textbook discrimination. All black men who travel are continuation. All black men with passports, all black men who travel overseas looking for women are continuation. Those are textbook discrimination, and it would be fitting in any other group. If you took out black men and you said any other group of people, you actually might even get in trouble for labeling people in such a manner. That said, I am always going to be a champion of black men, in particular traveling abroad, because one thing is we get a chance to see raw masculinity in its true form, and it's something that we can learn from, amongst other things that will help us be better fathers, better patriarchs that can build strong families that can carry forth our culture. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment below, and I'll catch you in the next video. Take care, guys.